Howdy and welcome back to the channel. This is Matthew Pisgatti. We're talking about the piggy bank, part of the animal farm ecosystem, and I just got two comments in a row that were very similar, both regarding what strategy to go with or what would be recommended after your stakes mature. So remember, your piggy bank, each one is essentially a time lock stake where you get a pretty awesome bonus depending on the number of weeks that you decide to lock that capital up. This LP liquidity pool token that you've converted into piglets. Piglets are holding the value, and they are making, in the beginning at least, and then they create truffles. Now, the truffles are in turn what you would actually sell once the stake matured. Or, of course, each day you have the ability to compound those stakes. So first, let's talk about the two options and where you see how much value you actually have for that day, or where that stacks up at, because that was part of one of the questions I got as well. So if you're looking at the piggy bank, to make it refresh, you can hit refresh. I usually hit pig pen and then back to the piggy bank. So the first thing, this is your estimated dollar value of your current truffles that are available. So the person who was asking where they see how much is available. Now remember, your initial capital that you throw in there that gets converted into piglets, or if you've been compounding regularly with your time lock stake to make sure that you get your bonus. Remember, you have to compound every day to get the bonus for that day. If you've been doing that regularly, your time lock matures. What do you do next? So this is the value that your capital that you put in, or the amount that you've compounded in. You can't touch this. So even if you have 20,000 piglets here, these don't get pulled out. But each of those piglets is making a certain amount of truffles a day. So the more piglets you have, the more truffles you can create. You can't sell this. This is not the sellable asset that we're looking at the value of here, but you can sell your truffles. So right now, although I have 21 hours to go before I could do anything with this stake again, because I've already taken one action in my 24-hour period, if I were to sell right now, if I were able to, this is the value, the dollar value of that many truffles. Now remember, that many truffles actually represents an LP value, this LP token, the pig/BUSD. And so this represents a certain amount of LP, and they've converted it, kind of rounded it to a dollar amount here. But this is what you would get if you were to sell the truffles available right now. So once a day, those are your options. Once you have these staked, it looks like I can actually sell. So you might be able to, I don't know if that'll go through, if that should be X'd out or not. I know compound or deposit, you can only do once a day. You may be able to sell at any time. But yes, those would be your options. As far as strategies, remember that this is essentially a tiny DRIP garden with some improvements. One of the improvements being that there is a max payout, and then of course the other improvement is this time lock stake capability, where you can get this huge bonus tacked on along the way. But once a day, your option would be to sell or to compound, or you could deposit more in, from outside. You could create more LP tokens and you could deposit them. That also compounds at the same time when you do that, so that's why you can only do one of these actions a day. So once a day you could compound it back in, you could deposit it, or you could claim it. And so just like the DRIP Garden, that is really going to be the recommended schedule. If you were going to claim, or if you're going to sell those truffles, I would recommend doing so in a type of ratio that is way more compounding than claiming. That's what keeps your max payout going up. Similar to drip faucet, if you're familiar with that. The more you compound back in, the higher your max payout grows too. So you want to compound regularly, more than you're claiming. So you'll want to compound way more than you're claiming, which most people recommend a 6-1, which is 6 days of the week you're compounding, and then 1 day you would sell or claim. Some people do something like a 5-2, where you do 5 days and then claim 2 days. The main thing that I would keep track of to make sure that your ratio or the way that you're claiming, I understand that a lot of people do want to claim. They're trying to work back towards an ROI, get their principal back at least, before they, feel comfortable compounding and continuing to stack up in the system. But the main thing you want to keep an eye on is the number of piglets and number of truffles and your value and your max payout. You kind of want to keep track of all these because if I'm compounding regularly and then I'm claiming some too, I want to make sure that the amount of truffles that I'm making every day before I sell, I want to make sure that's going up. And once a week, I would like to make sure that at least once a week, I want to check in and make sure that my total truffle values for the day are going up. Because if they're not going up, like once a day, if you hit around that 24-hour period and you're thinking, oh, I want to sell, and and granted, let's say this you're doing a 6-1 type of schedule. Let's say this is the 7th day and you want to sell. Well, last week this may have said, let's say $100, and this week it says $90. Well, you might still go ahead and claim. That's up to you. You might go ahead and sell. If I see it declining, I might switch to a longer compounding period. I may compound straight for a few weeks, 3 weeks, and try to let it climb back up. Because if I see my dollar value going down, even though I'm compounding way more than I'm claiming, what that's going to make me think, because the mechanisms are similar to the garden, I think, that's going to make me think that the contract balance is going down a little bit, or perhaps the price of pigs has gone down a little bit. And so my dollar value, what my LP is worth, isn't worth as much, and I might need to compound a little bit longer before I claim the next time, because all we're going to do, is kind of hurt ourselves if we're looking to sell. If we're looking to sell that LP and make some type of profit, if I see my truffle values going down, my daily truffle value, I may want to just delay a week or two, is what I'm saying there. Kind of like right now in the drip garden, anyone who's in it, if they're seeing their LP stay steady or go down, they may just keep compounding because they're waiting for DRIP to come back up, which is the core token in that LP, similar to how Pigs is for this one. They're waiting for the price of that DRIP token to come back up, and they're waiting for when DRIP hits a low enough price, people start buying back into DRIP and the garden. They're hoping to see the contract balance come back up, which also increases how much LP each of their truffle, their seeds are worth in the garden, and how much they can actually get for that if they harvest and decide to sell. So one other consideration, though, to that, let's say you came back, 1 week and it is 90 and it was 100 the previous week. And my cats are fighting. So one other consideration you might have is that if you're not actually selling that, let's say you're still getting the same amount of LP. Yeah, if your LP amount is still heading upward, and you're going to see some of this, by the way, the same way that I use the DRIP Garden Scheduler, you might want to use one of these schedulers that people have made for the DRIP, for Piggy Bank. And this isn't the only one. There's another really good one that I think's been developed, but this is probably one of the best ones right now. I would recommend donating to it. If I don't have it in the description already, I'll make sure to add it. But this is where you'll be able to see a lot of those things I'm talking about, especially if you upgrade. You're going to see your max payout. You're going to see your if you get the premium, you're going to see US dollar and the LP per minute, per month, per week, etc., etc. So keep an eye on all those values, and I'll put that link in the description. But yeah, so if your LP is still going up or staying kind of about the same, and you wouldn't normally claim to sell, like to actually sell and make a profit, you might still want to claim on your regular schedule. This is that scenario I'm talking about where it was 100 last week and now it's 90. You might still want to claim if you're planning on doing something else with the rewards here. So for instance, you might remove the liquidity. You might break this back up into pigs BUSD, and then maybe you're putting the pigs in the pig pen because you're trying to increase your balance in the pig pen. And I would recommend that if you haven't already, because this is supposed to be pretty big. I think the payouts here are going to be increasingly awesome as the farms open back up, and with some of these new partnerships, they're going to be pushing a lot of profit this way from fees and things like that. So there's scenarios like that where your intent isn't just focused on the dollar value here. You're really just trying to scrape off once a week some pigs BUSD to either put into a farm. I don't know if there is a farm for pigs BUSD currently, but if there is one, you may want to put it into that farm, or you may want to split that liquidity back up and deposit pigs for the pig pen. So there's other strategies there where even though your dollar amount may be a little lower that next week, you still decide to claim. But so yeah, that's the strategy that most people will end up recommending because it's like the drip garden in a way, except for the max payout. Is you're going to want to compound way more than you claim. That's going to increase your max payout. That's going to increase the number of truffles you're creating a day because it'll increase the number of piglets, right? If you're going to deposit, remember you can do one. You can either deposit into the unlocked stake or you can compound. And by the way, the deposit option is actually broken right now. We're waiting for them to correct that. But you can do one a day. And then that's the strategy I would keep to is, do a 6-1, and maybe even extend that a little bit. If you're not seeing a lot of improvement, you're not seeing the dollar value at where you want it to be, maybe put it out to like an 8-1 or like a 9-1. I don't know. Or if it's just way too low to justify claiming, just keep compounding. Keep compounding until you see that dollar value up where you would like to see it, and then start that type of schedule. There's nothing that says you have to start claiming as soon as your stake matures. You can keep compounding for quite a while, just like I've been doing in the garden. And then I let it stack up a few days when I needed to pull out for the Piggy Bank launch. But other than that, I've just been compounding in the garden, waiting for it to, swing high and really show me a good dollar value amount here. So definitely not financial advice. Remember, that's not my profession. I'm not a financial advisor. I can't tell you what to do with your funds or even your investment into this here gamble little game that is the Piggy Bank. But that is what I would recommend, or what I'm going to probably end up doing as mine mature. I'll be compounding quite a bit, though, before I even start that claiming schedule, just because I want to see a lot higher dollar amounts here. This one that's about 9,000 or so, I think we'll have to see once this 20 hours ropes around, but I think it's around 5, 6, something like that, dollars a day, depending on if I got any extra referrals that day. But I want to see quite a bit more before I'm claiming even once a week, if you get my drift there, just because it's not worth it. And in the long run, I can make quite a bit more piglets with that, the concept of the compounding interest. Those snowball so quick, just like in the drip garden where I'm already up to a couple hundred plants a day, 246 plants a day. I'm at like 7,000 something plants, and I started really low, maybe 40 something plants, and it only took a few months of just that compounding, rolling, compounding interest type of mechanism to get me where I am today in the garden. And like I said, it's all based on these core tokens, at least halfway, because that's what the LP is built out of, is either pigs or drip in the case of the garden. So that's going to control a lot of what this value is that you're seeing a day. And then the contract balance and how often you're compounding. If it works the same way or similar to how the garden works, you are judged by the average user in the system. If the average user in the system is compounding 7 days and then claiming on the 8th day, then if you do a ratio that is less than that, where you're saying compounding 3 days and claiming on the 4th day, and then compounding 3 days and claiming on the 4th day, your overall return per day, that up to 3% you keep hearing about, the bonus daily, just for being in the system, in the garden or in the piggy bank, that up to 3% is going to suffer. That's going to be reduced, mainly because you're falling behind everybody else in the system. So remember, if this is any way like the garden, which is what Forex Shark has been hinting at quite a bit in those interviews along the way, besides the improvements like max payout, time lock, blah, 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 this value here, the piglets, the value of that, which is really the value of one truffle multiplied by the number of truffles for one piglet, but the overall value of what we would say is the value of a piglet equivalency based on the number of truffles it is, that declines or decays. And again, Forex Shark doesn't really like that word decay. He doesn't think it really applies here, but it does. It does decay or decline over time, the value of a single truffle or a single piglet in relation to that. So if you are compounding way less than you're claiming, if you're claiming way more than you're compounding, you're going to basically fall behind, so that you can't even make that 3% because of that decline in the value of the not tokens, but of these placeholder values, these placeholder fake tokens, because of the decline in their value. If you're claiming way more than you're compounding, you're just going to fall behind. If you look at any type of scheduler or how compound interest works, and then if you were to apply, like, say, that 3%, but maybe the decay is 1.5%, but you claim 5 days out of the week and only compound twice, you're going to fall behind. Even if even if you weren't doing as good as the average person, if you were doing better than the average person, maybe the average person only claims, or only compounds once a week and then claims 6 days. You're all going to fall behind because of the way those values decline in these fake tokens. So yeah, the moral of the story there is make sure you're compounding way more than you claim. And if you're looking to make a profit, if you're looking to sell this, I would wait till it looks good on a daily basis, and you're like, oh, that's a good daily amount for a week, because remember, you're going to be compounding most of the week and then claiming like once a week. Wait till that looks good for you. Otherwise, just keep compounding. And if you see this dollar value going down and your goal is to make a profit, I might compound a few more weeks and then come back to it and see what it's doing. If your goal is not to make a profit here, but to split it into Pigpen or somewhere else, then you just claim whenever it looks right to you. Convert it into the LPs, remove the liquidity, slap it in the Pigpen, do whatever you want with it. If your goal is not to strictly just be making a dollar value profit here. So hopefully that was relatively easy to follow. I know I kind of ran through a number of scenarios there. Again, we have a great Telegram group that I'll link in the description. Feel free to hop in there. We've got about 90 people in there now, a couple of really helpful individuals that can answer some of those questions if any of that's unclear. Obviously, ask in the YouTube comments as well here, although that's a little harder to get responses on or to follow along with or to help troubleshoot. So I prefer Telegram. If you have it, hop in our group. We'll try to help you out there. Like and subscribe if you haven't already. If you're not in the Piggy Bank or the DRIP faucet, I still really like the DRIP faucet. The price keeps going down on DRIP. I think we're hitting some really good entry points, and we're going to continue to do so on the way down. If you're not in there, I've got referral links for both that and the Piggy Bank in the description. Love how I have you on the team. We're just kind of learning, going through this journey together. Although, as always, not financial advice. Can't tell you to hop in here. All crypto is a gamble and a kind of a crapshoot as far as what's going to do what. But I have a lot of faith in DRIP. It's been running over a year now. The whole ecosystem, Forex Shark, the developers turning out a lot of good upcoming partnerships, new UIs for the whole ecosystem. Very bullish on the whole thing. I'm excited to see where it goes. So thanks again for watching. If you made it this far, I appreciate that you appreciate the content. And I will see you guys in the next video. You stay safe out there as much as possible. World's crazy right now. Catch you on the flip side.